Welcome to our fourth study session on the book of Revelation. In the first session, we considered the background of this book, some parts of which will recur in today's discussion, so I will not summarize that at present. The second session, we considered the vision of heaven and the authority of God as sovereign over all things and as the ground for confidence on the part of those who receive this message. The third lesson focused on the opening of the first scroll and the opening of the seven seals as commenting on the social circumstances of John's present, the idolatry, violence, social inequity, so prevalent in the Roman Empire, and the seeds, as John regarded them, of the ultimate destruction of Rome, that is, a future dimension. Today we come to John's more full unmasking of the nature and purpose of the Roman Empire, and I might say of all empires. And a second unmasking is of the nature, function, and false uses of religion under the aegis of the Roman Empire, things about which modern churches need to give very careful consideration regarding how we might be similar or dissimilar. So thinking about the text, Revelation 13, there are two parts, a first beast and a second beast. The first beast is the primary one. The second beast serves the first beast. Sometimes they are called the first beast and the false prophet. We get a clue as to the nature of the first beast at the end of chapter 12, where John speaks of a dragon taking a stand on the shore. The shore, of course, is a reference to the power of chaos, and the dragon in this instance is Satan. Satan is the arch enemy of God who is seeking to steal away from God authority over the earth and its inhabitants so that they might serve Satan and serve Satan's purposes. And as John sees Satan standing on the shore, a beast rises out of the sea. Its origins are in chaos, threat, and the potential of violence. And it has 10 horns and 7 heads. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 heads. Ten horns. Hard to draw because it's really a language image that evokes a certain visual image, but it's hard to represent on the board what comes to the mind. So the beast is like a leopard, its feet are like a bear's, and its mouth is like a lion's mouth. So I'm just going to draw it having a big savage mouth. These 7 heads represent the 7 hills of the city of Rome. The 10 horns represent the 10 provinces or governing district in the Roman Empire. And the description of the beast, like a leopard, with feet like a bear's, and power like a lion's mouth, reveals the character of Rome. It is a savage, wild beast that consumes things in its path and operates by strength and savagery. And this is made so clear by John when John says that the dragon, Satan, gave his authority to the beast. This means that from John's point of view, the beast, the Roman Empire, is the body of Satan operating in the world in a way similar to the body of Christ. Indeed, as the book of Revelation unfolds, you see that Satan and the empire imitate God and the ways of God in order to deceive people into thinking that they are actually participating in transcendent reality when they are rather committing themselves to a non-transcendent, earthly, soon-to-be-destroyed reality. One of the heads seemed to have received a death blow, but its mortal wound had been healed. One of the Caesars, 2 generations before, had been killed by a blow to the head, and the story was rumored in the empire that he had come back from the dead. So consequently, John says, the whole earth worshipped the beast and said, "Who is like the beast and who can fight against it?" So here we have Satan embodied in the Roman Empire, carrying out his will in such a way as to evince worship, even awe, on the part of those who have been seduced. And yet, beneath the awe, there is the potential for savagery and violence and rule by an iron fist. The beast was given a mouth uttering haughty and blasphemous words. These are the acclamations of divine, divine, given to the emperor, and the acclamations that the Roman Empire was the child of the various gods and goddesses. And it opened its mouth to utter blasphemies against God, blaspheming God's name. And John then makes a very interesting statement. Blaspheming God's name and God's dwelling, that is, those who dwell in heaven, that is, the community in heaven and its anticipatory counterpart on earth that lives according to the purposes of God. It was allowed, that means God permitted it. In the ancient world, they believed that nearly everything took place either at the initiative of God or as a result of God's permission. And here, God permits the beast, and the best supposition is for the purpose of teaching a lesson to the human family. It was given authority, and mark this, over every tribe, tongue, nation, and language. We in the contemporary church sometimes become quite exercised in a positive way about those depictions in the book of Revelation of the multicultural gathering around God, as in chapter 7, where the same language is used to describe the people of God as describing here the people of the Roman Empire. Diversity, multicultural, cross-cultural emphases are not direct values in and of themselves, but only insofar as they serve the authentic purposes of community as revealed and supported by a living God. It was given authority over every tribe, people, tongue, and language, and all the inhabitants of the earth. That's a hyperbolic statement, the inhabitants of the Roman Empire who bought into the system or who wanted to share in the good things of the system worshipped the beast. John says that everyone whose name was not written from the foundation of the world in the book of the life of the Lamb, they all worship the beast. And of them, John says, let anyone who has an ear to listen, if you are to be taken captive, well then, into captivity you will go. If you kill with the sword, then by the sword you will be killed. In the last session, I spoke briefly about a principle, namely that judgment takes place according to the means of sin. Here we have it explicitly in the book of Revelation. If you are a part of the Roman Empire, which exercises its power by killing, then you can expect a violent end yourself. So this part of the book, this first vision, exposes the nature of the Roman Empire. It is of the same nature as Satan, and reveals its purpose, which is to exercise idolatry and entice those who would be faithful to God away from God and the values and practices of God's way, God's journey to the new heaven and new earth, and instead set them on the road to destruction. The picture of the first beast ends with this statement: here is a call for the endurance of the saints. The characteristic word for what John hopes the congregation will do is to endure. This is not a grim, set your teeth, tough it out endurance. This is hupomene. It's an active, assertive, sticking to your principles, standing up in the face and exercising your power kind of endurance. It's not resignation endurance, it's persistent, assertive endurance. Seeing the Roman Empire, discovering its nature, contemplating its deceptive purposes, John says, here is a call for you to endure, to continue in your principles and your witness, in the confidence that the one who sits on the throne has the authority over these things. And that is the point at which we encounter a second beast who serves the first. Initially, we see a beast in the form of a sheep. Nice, fluffy, fat sheep. It reminds us that in chapter 5, as a part of the extended discussion of heaven, John sees a figure first revealed as the lion, the tribe of Judah, then revealed as a lamb slaughtered. This sheep masquerades, appears to be in continuity with the lamb that was slaughtered in chapter 5, until we notice that it has 2 horns. And until we hear it speak, when we hear in its voice resonance with the dragon and the first beast. This is a picture of Roman religion presenting itself as if it is an authentic religion represented in chapter 5 by the slaughtered lamb. Here, Rome disguising itself like the wolf in sheep's clothing, trying to appear to be something other than it is, but revealed in its demonic character by its horns, which participate with the other horns, participate in the life-denying, life-repressing tendencies of the provinces, and it speaks in such a way as to reinforce the authority of the dragon. This symbol is almost certainly a reference to the priesthood, and not just the priesthood, but the entire operation of the Roman imperial cult, the Roman shrines in behalf of Caesar that we have noted earlier. For John says that it intends to promote the worship of the one whose mortal wound had been healed. Now this is quite striking. In many Christian circles, you point to the miracles that occurred in the first 39 books, the miracles that occurred at the hand of Jesus, and you say, oh, the miracle is the evidence that God is present. And yet, John says so clearly, the beast performs great signs, even making fire come down from heaven to earth in the sight of all. It isn't the fact of the miracle that establishes authority. It is the purpose to which the miracle is put. The power of deception of Roman civil religion is so great that it offers as evidence of its authenticity the same kinds of miracles that are reported in the first 39 books. It was no less than Elijah, the great prophet, who called down fire from heaven in the presence of the priests of Baal in order to demonstrate the power of God. Well, if you have Elijah who can do that, and you have the Romans who can do that, who do you believe? Why not align yourself with the one whose shiny things are so much more immediately available? This is cunning of the greatest, most imaginative degree. Not only that, but it deceives the inhabitants of the earth, telling them that the beast that had been wounded continues to live. And it was allowed to give breath to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast could even speak and cause those who would not worship the image to be killed. This is another word for resurrection. Roman religion presents as resurrected, assumes actually as reality the resurrection of a Caesar long past, whose word still has the power to put people to death. God raises Jesus. The beast raises Caesar. Which one do you align yourself with? Especially when the one can put you so immediately to death. This is a matter of interpretation of the highest importance. It causes all, small and great, rich and poor, to be marked on the right hand, on the forehead, so that no one could buy or sell who does not have the name of the beast, that is, the name of the beast or the number of its name, and this calls for wisdom. Let anyone with understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a person, 666. Now there is no indication, to my knowledge, that the Roman imperial shrines ever physically marked people who came to them. But John's description of the mark here is a way of speaking symbolically of those who come to the shrine participate in Roman civil religion, and go away, consequently authorized to have access to the best things that the Roman Empire provided. And as for the number of the beast, 666, this has been the cause of endless, and I have to say, needless and distracting speculation. For if you take the name Nero Caesar, translate it into Hebrew, and take account of the fact that in the ancient world, Judaism, they did not have numerals, 1, 2, 3, 4, but they assigned numerical value to certain letters, and you take the name Nero Caesar, translate it into Hebrew, and add up the numerical value of the letters, they come out to 666. This is not some mystical figure contemplated by John, who would appear thousands of years later. This is a reference to the imperial system, not just to Nero Caesar, dead 2 generations before John, but it's a reference to the imperial system which has gone so far as to hijack religion, the deepest things of the heart, and put them in the service of an idolatrous, unjust, exploitative, violent upper 1.5%. This is something about which churches today need to give the most serious consideration. To what degree do we buy into, even become chaplains for the empires that are afoot? And I think not just of the national empires or the corporate empires, but even the way in which the church itself, even the congregation, can become a kind of empire, especially for clergy and for certain kinds of leaders. But we can be grateful that John has given us this vision, because like so many other visions in the book of Revelation, it can be a lens through which to look at the empires abroad, the empires near at hand, and the empires of which we might be a part, and learn from this warning. Do not be deceived, but turn toward a real God who offers a real alternative.